91 drones, and I was at the library at 3 a.m. Why the Kremlin story doesn't add up? The Kremlin has claimed that there was an assassination attempt against Vladimir Putin. 91 drones, the Valdai residence, and nighttime attack. Russia says that on December 29th, Ukrainian drones allegedly tried to strike Putin residence. Dozens of channels have already reported this story. But the more you check the facts, the faster the official version begin to fall apart. The contradictions in timing, routes, and so-called evidence are all too familiar. This is not a retelling of the news. It is an analysis of an old KGB playbook. Denial, confusion, and a flood of competing versions. Just like after the flight MH17 disaster and other tragedies. I am analyzing as someone who lived in USSR and in Russia, encountered Soviet and post-Soviet security services firsthand, and knows what such operations look like up close. The more evidence appears, the more the same question remains. Did anything actually happen at all? Or the boy was crying wolf way too much? And what does a trip to the library at 3 a.m. have to do with it? I'll walk you through the facts, and together we will analyze what really happened and what we actually know for sure. Hello everyone, I'm Elena. Welcome back to my channel Enough of Propaganda. I'm a former economist and former associate professor at several universities. For over 11 years, I have been analyzing propaganda, power, authoritarian regimes using facts, verified sources, and careful research, and actually actively fighting them, actually. My writing and analysis on Quora have reached an international audience, receiving over 5.5 million views. I lived and worked in the USSR and Russia, personally encountered representatives of Soviet and post-Soviet intelligence agencies, and since 2014 I have been systematically studying Russia's war against Ukraine. Here, I don't simply repeat the news, and I don't ask you to take my word for it. I prove what I say. I work only with verifiable facts, reliable sources, and logic. If you find this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share it. Let's make the truth accessible to everyone. Before we will dive into current events, I want us to look at Kremlin's propaganda pattern. 5 Steps by Mark Galeotti. British researcher Mark Galeotti has described a consistent model the Kremlin uses from crisis to crisis, from Crimea to MH17 to the doping scandal. The model has 5 steps. Step number 1, denial. Full denial regardless of evidence. Example, Russian soldiers in Crimea were not Russians, despite uniforms, weapons, and equipment. Despite even admitting, they admit that they're Russians, some of them, and showed passports to the representatives of the Vice News, for example. Yet Russia denied it. The same as with alleged attacks on Putin. No evidence for the first 24 hours, only statements. This is an article of Galeotti from 2016, talking about these 5 steps. Steps number 2, counterattack. Attack the opponents, question their motives, sources, and interpretations. Any questions are labeled as Russophobic or provocation. Step 3, confusion. Create maximum information noise. Throw out dozens of versions, some plausible, some absurd. The goal is not to prove an alternative, but to create the illusion that truth is impossible to determine. Same as MH17, versions multiplied by none stood up to scrutiny. And I remember them all. I remember a bunch of Soviets, Russians, with the big stars on the shoulders, generals sitting around round table and with the high ranks and trying to say, oh no, this is not Russia, this is Ukraine, and so on, and it sounds so legit. All of this was a lie. If somebody actually interested in the story of MH17, this is in this playlist about Girkin Strelkov, and the verdict is clear. Step 4. Equate. If denying further becomes difficult, claim even if it's true, which it isn't. Everyone is doing it, especially the Americans. Fact-checking is irrelevant, moral responsibility is blurred. And step 5, repeat. Repeat the entire cycle, again and again and again. The Kremlin assumes that West loses attention quickly, today's scandal is forgotten tomorrow. Repeat it long enough, if repeated long enough, the event becomes a subject for historians, not political accountability. Why this matters for the Putin's drone attack? First, statements with no evidence, then attacks on skeptics, then contradictory maps, fragments, controllers. finally presenting the story as justification for escalation and stopping negotiations about peace. This is not new. This is an old playbook applied again. There is an old Soviet joke which kind of explains how things work, how that system works. A husband cheats on his wife and spends the night with the younger secretary at the hotel. The wife finds out from a friend who works at the hotel and interrogates him. She asks, "Where were you last night? Did you cheat on me?" He answers, "I was in the library." At 3 a.m.? Even after she presents evidence, his signature in the hotel registry and a photo of him in bed with his lover, he repeats the same thing. "I have been in the library." The point is strategy, not stupidity. And the lie is repeated not because it's convincing, but because admitting guilt is never an option. Putin's regime will never admit his guilt. Don't even think about it. It will not happen. I want you to remember one important thing. Legally and under international law, Vladimir Putin is a legitimate military target, as the head of the state waging an aggressive war. Putin's regime has repeatedly attempted to assassinate Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky. These attempts have been confirmed by the Ukrainian side, Western intelligence, and journalistic investigations. At the same time, there has been no international outrage from India, Hungary, the US, or other countries about attacks on Zelensky. This is important context. But the questioning we are examining now is, did the attack actually happen? I mean attack on Putin. According to Russian authorities, 91 drones were involved in the attack. This number actually changed multiple times. The target was Putin's residence in Valdai, Novgorod region. The drones were allegedly shot down in several regions, including Bryansk. Russia immediately declared it as an assassination attempt. Key point here is that for almost 24 hours after the announcement, Russia didn't provide any evidence, no videos of the attack, no wreckage, no photos, no verified target coordinates. This, what I'm showing now, appeared way later. Somebody posted on Twitter such a sarcastic comment. "This is what Putin's residence looks like after Ukrainian airstrike." Oh, wait, no. That's Kupiansk, one of the Ukraine's cities demolished by the Russians. So, if to be serious, Ukraine's position. Ukraine officially denies any attempt to attack Putin's residence. Kiev considers that Moscow is using this story to pressure the United States, disrupt possible negotiations of peace, and mobilize domestic support. Evidence provided later, the pictures you just saw I showed earlier, is from RT, which is a lying source of Putin's propaganda. I investigated it for decades. But nevertheless, so they find some sort of a drone somewhere in the forest without any coordinates or anything where it is. A controller of Ukrainian drone. The US military attaché was handed what was allegedly the controller of Ukrainian drone. It appeared brand new, unused, like a device freshly bought, excuse my irony, from AliExpress. Kinda like Chinese version of Amazon. According to the Kremlin, this drone participated in the alleged attacks. After Peskov denied that Russia even need to provide any proofs, of course everybody should trust Russia on word, they finally provided a flight path data. The US side was also given drone route data. But it has not been publicly verified, not presented to independent experts, not accompanied by originally telemetry logs. This is a Telegram channel "Можем объяснить", or we can explain. Let's talk about independent checks. Journalists from Current Time, the videos I showed to you earlier, not the RT ones, the other ones, and independent researchers noted several facts. For example, this Telegram channel "We Can Explain" surveyed 14 residents of the Novgorod region living near Putin's residence. Residents reported no mass air defense activity, 0. No SMS alerts about drones, no drone or explosion sounds. Later, Russian authorities found one person who heard a noise similar to a dump truck. And only after later he was told that they were drones, he said, "Oh, it could be drones." There is no video typical of drone attacks, which usually appear quickly on social media. There is no evidence of damage, evacuation, or heightened security around the residence. And this article also disproved a whole bunch of other things. That different time amount of drones, not at night but in the morning, and all the problems with Russian version. And as well, you can see this is Ukraine, this is Bryanskaya region, Smolenskaya region, and Tverskaya region. And to get to Novgorodskaya region, the drone has to go through 3 regions to the highly secured Putin's residence, which most of the anti-air missiles in Russia concentrated around Putin's palaces, Putin's residences, Moscow, and one drone, or even 90 drones, will do nothing to this residence. Zero. These findings fully match the conclusions of independent analysts, including Michael Naki. He is on the picture. There is no evidence of mass attack on the residence. Zero. But since I am not a military expert, I'm just a blogger, an economist. Let's see what experts has to say. This is Professor Mauro Gili from Hertie School of Berlin. The maps presented by Russia don't prove a specific target. The drone interception points don't indicate Putin's residence. The single drone fragment displayed does not support the assassination scenario, according to Professor Gili. The US intelligence, CIA, says exactly the same thing. According to journalists, the CIA and other US agencies don't confirm the assassination attempt. Putin thought he will impress Trump, but at first responses of Trump, so far he wasn't very impressed and didn't really jump on the wagon attacking Ukraine together with Putin yet. He might do it later. What is possible is that drones, Ukrainian drones, if they existed at all, were aimed at ordinary military targets. One potential target could have been an ammunition depot about 80 kilometers from Putin's residence, which Ukraine has already attempted to strike before. My analysis and conclusion. This is exactly how the Russian state operates historically. Russia never admits guilt. Not MH17, not Crimea, not Syria, not the Salisbury poisonings. And not now. They're not gonna admit it now. The story of the alleged attack on Putin's residence fits this pattern perfectly. Dramatic announcement, more than 24 hours without evidence, later fragmented and unverifiable proofs, controller, map, drone fragment. Independence checks don't confirm the attack. Experts' assessments contradict the official Russian narrative. But conclusions are announced in advance. Important principle, Vladimir Putin is a legitimate military target, so Ukraine had full rights to strike him. And yet they did not, as far as they say. And we don't see proofs otherwise. What we see now, in my opinion, is not a confirmed assassination attempt. It is a political narrative constructed to justify escalation, withdraw from negotiations, and shift responsibility. History teaches us one thing. When facts are missing, when versions contradict each other, when evidence appears late and selectively, and when the story perfectly matches an old KGB propaganda playbook, the correct response is verification, not belief. Russia never admits guilt. Forget about it. The only time I remember they maybe admitted something, it was during that Azerbaijani plane, when they shot it and then sent it to drown in the sea. Luckily the plane survived, and there was a big scandal. So this is not a hypothesis, this is a historical fact. What do you think really happened and why? Please share your recent analysis in the comments. An important addition. Yesterday, Ukraine's Foreign Intelligence Service warned of a possible new large-scale Russian provocation with human casualties, potentially timed around Orthodox Christmas, which is January 7th, on Russian territory or on occupied Ukrainian areas. No evidence was provided and this claim should be treated critically, but as a precaution, I would suggest Russians avoid large gatherings during this time. Because I kind of warned Russians about it in a previous Christmas or two before that. It didn't happen, luckily, but Putin is getting desperate. He's losing the war in Ukraine, and he may do something terrible, which is not a surprise. Soviet Union and Russia did it all the time. They don't have high regards for human life or rights or anything like that. So if you have any doubts that Putin will be, something will stop him if he decided to do that, he will not. Learn the truth, stay informed, and help Ukraine. Please verify information. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for watching my video. See you later.